I'm going live. All right, I believe I'm live. Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Mechling. I'm the Director of Education at the Center for Coastal Studies. Thank you for joining me today. It is Friday. It's another rainy and windy day in Cape Cod, part of a very rainy and windy spring. So keeping with this week's theme of all things great and small, we're going to talk today about the greatest, or shall I say, the largest of all animals. And of course, I'm talking about the blue whale. Saw my first blue whale many decades ago in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of California and Baja, Mexico. And a few years after that in the Gulf of St. Lawrence in Quebec, and then more recently last year back in Baja in the Gulf of California. And it had been many years in between the sightings, and I have to say that last year when I saw them again, I was just impressed with their incredible size and majesty and power, and they really do take your breath away. So let's get started with the presentation. So the blue whale is obviously a mammal. It is listed as endangered by the IUCN. It is a cetacean. It's a misticete or baleen whale related to fin whales, humpback whales, sei whales. It has tremendous vocal range across the world's oceans. Many things about the blue whale are superlative, and there are 5 known subspecies of blue whale. So today, as we talk about the blue whale, the 5 subspecies I should just mention are the northern blue whale, the Antarctic blue whale, the pygmy, the northern Indian Ocean, and the Chilean subspecies. These species all vary in size, but they are all large animals. Blue whales are found throughout the world's oceans. They are mostly pelagic, but they are found sometimes near shore feeding. Blue whales are found from tropical waters to the ice packs of the Arctic and Antarctica. And as you can see from the map, they tend to, their secondary range, they tend to avoid most equatorial waters, most likely because those areas are not rich in food. These animals feed on plankton, as we'll talk about. Some blue whales are migratory, while others are residents. Blue whales are the largest known animal to have ever lived. The average length of mature females varies among the different subspecies, but is all over 21 meters or 69 feet in length. Females are larger than males. The largest ever recorded was 29.9 meters or 98 feet. However, there are historic whaling records with 88 blue whales measuring over 30 meters, and one that measured an incredibly 33 meters or 108 feet long. The largest of the subspecies are found in Antarctica, with the males averaging 112 tons or 224,000 pounds, and the females 130 tons or 260,000 pounds. Pygmy blue whales are, by their name, smaller. They average only 83 and a half tons or 167,000 pounds for males and 99 tons or 198,000 pounds for females. The largest blue whale ever weighed incredible 397,000 pounds or 198 tons. Blue whales were not pursued much, if any, during the historic whaling period, mostly due to their size and the fact that they were too fast for sailing fleets. These whales are capable of reaching 10 to 25 knots when being pursued, but they were nearly wiped off the face of the planet during the modern whaling era in the 20th century. As ships got faster, they were able to pursue and kill blue whales, and it's estimated that over 350,000 blue whales were killed in a period of 60 years, making that one of the largest depletions of ocean biomass of one species ever. Their numbers today pale in comparison, range from 3 to 11% of their historic pre-whaling estimates. Blue whales are the largest, should say heaviest animal on the planet. They're not the longest. That belongs to a type of zooplankton, actually. Um, and they grow to this amazing size by eating very small food. They primarily feed on various types of krill or small shrimp and other zooplankton, but studies out of blue whales in Baja found that they will also eat small fish, and they eat a tremendous amount. As you can imagine, to grow this big, 4 tons of krill a day. They need to average over 350 kilograms of tons a day. And in fact, they are they are the world's most efficient eaters. Blue whales are in a family of baleen whales called rorquals. Rorquals are slender, relatively fast whales for the most part, humpbacks being the exception, that have long grooves under their throat. These pleated grooves allow these types of whales to take in huge gulps of water, extend that throat, and take in huge gulps of water, and capture many hundreds of kilos or pounds of food at one time. The blue whale, similar to the fin whale, is a lunge feeder, meaning it will build up speed and then lunge, extending that mouth and those pleats, taking in large patches of krill. In fact, the whale's mouth can take up to 220 tons of water in one gulp, um, over 30,000 gallons in one gulp, and they can consume in heavy, rich krill rich patches. They can consume up to 500,000 calories in one gulp. This makes them the most efficient eaters in the world. This is 240 times the energy than it takes them to actually capture, the expenditure of energy that actually it takes them to capture that krill. So they are incredibly efficient, and it's thought that these whales evolved to these large sizes roughly 4 to 5 million years ago, and is believed that these feeding techniques, these lunge feeding techniques, taking large amounts of water and large amounts of food, allow these whales to grow bigger and bigger. And as they became bigger, they were able to migrate across large ocean basins to find these rich patches of food, because they're not found everywhere in the world's oceans. So the food resource has a lot to do with how these whales have become so big. And because of their efficiency, they are able to maintain their size. Um, Blue whales have tremendous calls. We talked about sperm whales the other day as being the loudest whale in the ocean, but blue whales are very loud as well. They can make low pitch sounds up to 188 decibels. That's still louder than a plane taking off. And these sounds can travel vast distances in the ocean, over 1,600 kilometers or 1,000 miles. Sadly, today their acoustic range is significantly smaller. By some estimates, it's only 160 kilometers or 100 miles due to all the noise in the ocean. And since blue whales are solitary animals for the most part, communication is important in mating, and this noise pollution could cause a problem for them in the future. One of the many challenges that they face. Blue whales are identified by the mottled markings on the back you see here. Each individual has unique markings. They mature around the age of 10 and give birth every 2 to 3 years. Calves will stay with their mother, it's believed, for about 8 months. Like many of the other large whale species, they can live well over 70 years. One was estimated to have lived 110 years, and it's thought they average about 80 to 90 years old. So these are very long-lived animals. As I previously mentioned, blue whales were hunted nearly to extinction in the 20th century. This is a picture of a blue whale mother and calf. Their current population is estimated between 5 and 15,000 animals worldwide. So greatly reduced from the number that was estimated at the beginning of the 20th century. These animals today face many threats, as other large whale species: entanglement in fishing gear, ship strikes, noise pollution, and the increasing effects of climate change on their prey. Many krill in Antarctica are born under ice pack, and as ice pack diminishes, so is the density of krill, leaving less food for not only blue whales, but all whales, or many species in Antarctic that rely on krill as one of the key species down there. I took this picture just this past March in Sri Lanka. I was out trying to see the Pygmy blue whale, which lives off of the southern coast of Sri Lanka, and we went out for about a 4-hour trip. And most of these whales that live off the south coast, you find them right in the main shipping lane that cuts across the Indian Ocean. In the 2 hours we were out there in rather rough seas, I think we saw about 4 spouts. We didn't really see any bodies of the whales, but I counted nearly over 24 ships that crisscrossed this path. Shipping is a main issue for these whales, particularly in places like Sri Lanka, and particularly for populations that live in areas as they do in Sri Lanka. Many times you'll hear about blue whales being hit by ships, and I've seen many videos of blue whales being brought in on the front of a ship. It's pretty gruesome. These are just one of the threats they face. As I mentioned before, noise pollution is another major threat to them, as it is to all large whale species, making their acoustic range much smaller. So we're about all out of time. I've run over. Of course, I could spend a long time talking about blue whales. I just did want to mention one last story with blue whales. My last time seeing them was last March in Baja. I was out on a trip. You can see this picture was taken from that day. And down in Baja, the whale watchers it's a rather small little boat. And what they do when they're in the area of blue whales is they will turn off the boats and wait for the blue whales to surface. This is good not only for watching them, but also for the blue whales, because there's less noise in the ocean. And a blue whale went down, and we turned off the boat, and we were waiting and getting our lunch ready to eat. And then one popped up about 50 meters from the boat. And when they come up and exhale, they are incredibly loud, so much that I was so startled that I nearly dropped the burrito that I was making. But it was a pretty incredible experience to be so close and just feel the power of these animals. So that's all for today. I want to thank you for joining me. So I had originally planned to only do this series for 4 weeks with the stay-at-home orders. Here in Massachusetts, we have 2 more weeks at stay-at-home until May 18th. So I will continue this program next week, and the following week. Next week, we will continue with cool marine animals, the theme being just one look. So animals that I've only seen one time, but are super cool. And then the following week, a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the 5 top destinations that I've been to see marine wildlife. So thank you for joining me. I'm out of time. Hope you have a safe and nice weekend, and hope you can join me next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.